crypto is growing at twice the speed of the internet in terms of adoption. So it's the fastest adoption of any technology and any asset class the world has ever seen. So if we just assume that growth slows, as it did with the internet, because once you get bigger and bigger numbers, it's hard to grow at such a rate. So it goes from, let's say, 175% a year where it's been trending and goes to 43% a year, which is what the internet did from year 8 onwards. Well, crypto gets to 1 billion people by the end of next year. 1 billion active wallets. And it gets to 4 billion by 2030. Well, at 4 billion, the price will certainly be $1 million.
It's been a most uneventful couple of weeks for the cryptocurrency market, with most crypto assets down by double digits since making fresh multi-year highs earlier this month. According to recent reports, the spot Bitcoin ETFs, largely responsible for the first wave of demand and price spikes, have recorded negative to flat flows in the last 10 days, partly accounting for why prices are down. Despite the pullbacks, the industry is now looking forward to the 2024 Bitcoin Halving event, expected to occur around midnight Eastern Standard Time on April 19th. Experts believe the bullish trajectory for Bitcoin and other digital assets will resume after the halving, easily pushing prices to new all-time highs. In a recent post on social media platform X, senior Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric Balchunas notes that recent negative narratives about the spot Bitcoin ETF flows are completely wrong. Eric staunchly believes that the ETFs are only taking a breather, and demand will resume again shortly. Some of the post reads, "It's totally normal for an ETF category to cool off after a breathtaking pace like this, especially with prices down 12% in the past 5 days." Secondly, the slowdown in demand is microscopic. Over the past 5 days, the 10's net flows have equaled minus $223 million, 1% of their net inflows since launch, and 0.4% of their assets. Thirdly, that net number is still GBTC driven, as the new 9 have seen inflows of plus $330 million over the past 5 days, with BlackRock's IBIT extending its inflow streak to 67 days. Eric further notes that the 12% drop in Bitcoin's price was mostly caused by crypto natives selling off their Bitcoin after the leading cryptocurrency hit new all-time highs. He adds that despite the drop, Bitcoin is up 144% since last June and 47% year-to-date, a huge feat compared to the performance of several traditional asset classes in the same timeframe. Like Eric, Real Vision founder and CEO Raoul is looking forward to the halving and what's next for Bitcoin and other top cryptocurrencies. According to Pal, Bitcoin could get as high as $400,000 per coin before the cycle ends, a 543% increase from current prices. In a recent interview with Altcoin Daily, the renowned macro analyst shared his outlook on the 2024 crypto bull market and what he expects for crypto assets in the coming months. As we bring you clips from the interview, please take a little time to like this video, drop your comments, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks, and enjoy the video.
So the halving itself is a non-event. It's the signal that you're about to come into crypto summer, which happens to coincide with the presidential election years every time. And it also corresponds with what I call the everything code cycle, which is the debt refinancing cycle, which is the macro cycle. They're all the same thing. So you get this kind of powerful dynamic of politicians giving out free candy because they're going into an election, stimulus. You tend to have a liquidity cycle because of the business cycle, because they have to refinance the debts of the governments. And you tend to have the Bitcoin halving, which is a reduction in supply. And that's why these periods get really quite exciting. It's difficult to know what kind of cycle we're going to be dealing with. There's a school of thought that says it's a left translated cycle, which means it goes up fast early and then peaks early. Most would finish in 2025 in December. That's normally how these crypto cycles have finished. That third year would be a December, November kind of period. So could it come earlier and peter out this year? There's definitely a probability of that. What price would that be? I would say 200,000, something like that. And that would be, okay, that's gone very far, very fast. The most likely outcome is a standard bull market. Now, the last one we had, 2020, 2021, was actually a stunted cycle because really the final leg never happened. We had a huge final leg in 2017 and an even more enormous one in 2013. But last time around, we didn't get one, which caught everybody off surprise, including myself. So somewhere that would be, Bitcoin gets to, let's say, 200 to 250,000, peaks somewhere between the summer and the end of the year. Okay, that seems pretty reasonable. The other probability is that we have a full bubble cycle because now there's more access to it by the ETFs. There's more acceptance. There's more regulatory acceptance. It captures more mind share. There's like 110 million Coinbase wallets and only about 10 million are active right now. So that number can go up dramatically. So we can see a huge participation and a final kind of belief that this is it. That could happen. And in which case, then you could see an extension to maybe 400,000 plus in this cycle. But I would give the short cycle and the bubble cycle roughly the same probabilities. I'm probably more erring towards the bubble cycle, but let's call them both 20% probability and 60% for something normal. So if Bitcoin is the gateway drug, the RAAs, everybody else, you can kind of get your dad across the line with Bitcoin. And you can just use digital gold or, store of value or something that's pretty straightforward. ETH really is the settlement layer for all of the layer twos, but also I think a lot of the financial services industry will build on top of it because it's deemed to be the safe bet. It's like using Salesforce for your CRM and other stuff. It's like using AWS, right? It's the thing you don't get fired for. Now, I think Solana will grab part of that market because of FireDancer, which is much faster. We can talk about that later. But generally speaking, ETH is the easy choice. It's like you work for a large corporation, they'll give you Microsoft Office. ETH is Microsoft Office.
During the discussion, Pal explains that there is still so much to look forward to before the bull market ends in 2025. One important part of the bull market, the former Goldman Sachs executive is quite excited about, is the beginning of altcoin season. According to the Pal, altcoins will begin an extraordinarily bullish season after a top altcoin makes a new all-time high. As with previous cycles, Pal expects top altcoins like Ethereum, Solana, and Dogecoin to outperform Bitcoin as we get deeper into the bull market. Another important event Pal is excited about is a reversal in central banks' tightening policy and the resumption of QE. Pal maintains that 2024 is both crypto and macro summer, meaning better liquidity conditions for the markets. During the discussion with Altcoin Daily, Pal speaks further about his expectations for crypto assets during the bull market, especially what he believes will be the next breakthrough narrative for the bull market. He also gives crucial investment advice to cryptocurrency investors who want to make the best of this massive opportunity. Here are more clips from the video.
Yeah. The biggest game in town, however, is what is the Solana of this cycle? If you remember, Solana last cycle was huge. So was Avalanche, so was Polygon. There was a few of them that really got the narrative, and it really Solana won out that as the next big thing. The others are still fine. They've got activity and stuff going on, but not the scale of Solana. The question is what is that one of this cycle? Because you can make some real money in that bet. But this is where people start going too far out the risk curve. You really need to see what is getting some real adoption and a real narrative and real developers working around it and stuff like that. That remains to be seen, but that game is still to be played.
Besides the ETH ecosystem, besides the Solana ecosystem, what is another ecosystem on your radar?
There's two.
Please.
One, as a caveat, I sit on the foundation for SWI, which is an incredible project. That and Aptos are both Move-based. SWI kind of rewrote the whole thing from scratch and have built other stuff around it. Those, I think, you're starting to see other people, Chris Baniski, Melton Demiras, talking about EVM, SVM, MVM. And I think that's probably right. So those are on my radar screen. Obviously, I'm on the foundation, so I'm somewhat biased, but I see behind the curtain the amount of kind of activity and who they talk to and how it talks. The other one is the Cosmos ecosystem. So Celestia would be the obvious one there. There's a few others within that ecosystem. And that is those are the two ecosystems that look like, okay, what is the next big layer one ecosystem? It's one of those two, I think, unless something else randomly comes out of nowhere. The entire game in this adoption curve of crypto, where the whole market cap is going from, let's say, $2.7 trillion today to maybe 10 or 12 trillion dollars at the end of this cycle, to maybe 100 trillion by 2035 or something, right? The entire game is to be in the game. Now, when you use leverage, if the market pulls back, you lose your coins. You're out of the game. Don't be out of the game. Also, don't get distracted from the game. The game is in the mass adoption of the big stuff. The small stuff, do that for fun. Another thing, another way to lose money is doing stuff you shouldn't really be doing, which is suddenly you see high yield somewhere and you're like, oh, I want to get that. Right? These markets go up 100, 200, 300, 400, 500% plus. You don't need to earn 10% yield or 15% yield. You don't, because a yield comes with risk. The only risk-free yield is staking yields when you stake it yourself, but you still have the price risk of Ethereum falling or Solana falling or whatever. But the smart contract risk is almost zero. Soon as you start going out of that world, you're now going out the risk curve. It's like lending to the government versus lending to your friend. You should get higher yields from it because it's riskier, because the chances are they won't pay you back. So that's another thing I think people need to be cautious of. And the other way people get caught out is leaving balances on stuff like MetaMask, thinking it's my wallet, it's fine. And before you know it, you've clicked on a stupid link, your wallet's been drained. For goodness sake, keep most of it on a Ledger or a Trezor, or at worst in Coinbase or one of the big exchanges. But don't just leave it in places that are vulnerable, because your job is not to lose your tokens. That's the one rule of this, is don't part with your tokens. So you just be really, really careful.
Raoul Pal's "don't f*** this up" thesis is generally about the dangers of using leverage. According to the renowned macro analyst, this is one of the biggest mistakes a cryptocurrency investor, especially an inexperienced trader, can make. Pal believes this is already the biggest opportunity the world has ever been given, and even without leverage, prices are still going to rise significantly over the next few years. He predicts that Bitcoin will hit at least $1 million per coin by 2030. With leverage, you risk losing all of your money before the big rallies begin. Without leverage, you remain one of the lucky early beneficiaries of the biggest investment opportunity ever. Please share your thoughts on Raoul Pal's interview and his overall outlook on the cryptocurrency industry in 2024 and beyond. You can join the conversation by sharing your thoughts, comments, and observations in the comments section below. Also, ensure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.